Welcome to Midnight Murmurs Radio. This is Evelyn Blackwood, and tonight we drift into the Hollow Street Masquerade, a bedtime story woven from whispers of old Halloween nights where history and dreams overlap, and the quiet streets remember what daylight forgets. Before we begin, find a comfortable place to rest. Let your body sink softly into the mattress. Loosen your shoulders. Let your hands fall gently beside you. Take a deep breath in and slowly let it go. Inhale again, longer this time. Feel the cool air filling your chest and exhale all that remains of the day. You are safe here. You are home in this quiet moment between wakefulness and sleep. Now, imagine it's late October in an old American town, a place that seems to exist halfway between memory and mist. The air is cool but gentle, carrying the faint scent of pumpkin, candle wax, and wood smoke. The streets are lined with elm trees whose leaves rustle like secrets, and down a narrow lane, hidden beneath the fog, lies Hollow Street. The locals say it isn't on any map, that you only find it when you're not looking for it. Some claim it appears once a year, on the eve of Halloween, when the moon turns the color of old parchment and the wind carries voices from long ago. They call it the Masquerade, a festival of masks and lanterns, where every guest is both a stranger and a reflection of someone you once knew. You begin to walk down the cobblestone path, your footsteps muffled by fallen leaves. The lamps flicker softly, wrapped in gauzy webs that shimmer in the fog. Music hums faintly, a slow waltz drifting from somewhere unseen. The closer you get, the warmer the air feels, as though the night itself welcomes you. You notice the doors of the houses' old wooden frames carved with crescent moons, foxes, and ravens. Their windows glow amber, and silhouettes pass behind them, carrying trays of cider and laughter that sounds almost real. As you move deeper, the fog thickens, curling around your ankles like silk. Then you hear it, the toll of a distant clock. Midnight. A low voice whispers, "Welcome back." You stop, searching, but no one's there. Only the flicker of candles in the mist and the slow, rhythmic beat of your own heart. You remember hearing stories as a child about a masquerade that never ends, where time folds upon itself and guests dance until they forget their own faces. But you never believed them. Not until now. A figure appears ahead, a woman in a black velvet mask, her dress glimmering faintly under the lantern light. She moves like smoke, her steps silent, graceful. When she passes you, she pauses just long enough for you to feel her gaze beneath the mask. Her voice is soft, lilting, echoing like a memory half forgotten. "Don't linger too long," she whispers. The masquerade remembers what others choose to forget. You turn to speak, but she's gone. Only her perfume remains, a trace of autumn and moonlight. You walk on, following the faint melody that winds through Hollow Street, a lullaby of violins and wind chimes, a relaxing story that feels more dream than memory. The deeper you go, the more everything around you slows. The flicker of lights, the drift of fog, even your heartbeat, all moving in rhythm with the night. And as you listen, the world begins to blur. Your thoughts quiet. Your breath deepens. The story of Hollow Street unfolds like a gentle, magical dream. Part real, part remembered, entirely calming. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. This is Evelyn Blackwood, and you're still with me on Midnight Immerse Radio. Tonight, the wind outside seems to whisper along with us, doesn't it? It hums through the cracks of old window frames, sighing like the breath of the past. If you're still awake, take another deep breath, slow and full. Let the sound of my voice guide you deeper. You don't have to think of anything now. Just imagine the world we've stepped into, Hollow Street wrapped in its own hush of time. The mist drifts heavier now, turning the gaslight into halos that pulse softly in the dark. You hear laughter in the distance, elegant, haunting, layered with echoes, as if the night itself were remembering. The cobblestones glisten like wet glass. Somewhere nearby, a violin starts to play the notes, trembling, alive, like raindrops on old wood. And in that trembling sound, something awakens inside you. Not fear, exactly, but that strange awareness that comes when you realize the air has memory. You walk farther. The street widens into a small square, where masked figures move in slow, dreamlike circles. Their faces shimmer under painted masks, some gold, some ivory, some carved from thin porcelain. The costumes are beautiful, but slightly wrong. Too old, too fine, as though they belonged to another century. You can smell the faint trace of lavender and dust, candle smoke and something sweet, perhaps the scent of cider gone cold. A man in a long coat tips his hat as you pass. His mask is carved like a fox's grin, but his eyes, they seem tired, distant, as though he's seen you before, somewhere beyond this life. He murmurs softly, "Welcome back to the dance." Then, as you blink, he's gone, dissolved into the fog as if he'd never existed. You pause beside a fountain at the center of the square. It's stone cracked, the water still, yet when you lean close, ripples appear on the surface, as if responding to your breath. Reflected in that dark mirror, you see not your own face, but another, a younger version of yourself, standing on this same street long ago, watching a parade of lights drift through the mist. You blink again. The vision fades, only your reflection remains, pale and quiet. From somewhere behind, you hear footsteps, slow, deliberate, and soft. You turn, and there she is again. The woman in the black velvet mask. Her gown now glows faintly silver beneath the lanterns, as if stitched with moonlight. "You've been here before," she says gently. Her words feel both question and statement. "I don't remember," you whisper. She tilts her head. No one ever does. That's what the masquerade is for, to forget and remember safely. Her voice lowers, as if she's speaking to your dreams instead of you. Long ago, Hollow Street was the heart of this town, before the fire, before the silence. They danced every year to keep the night from swallowing the light. But one year, the masks stayed on, and time forgot to move. Her gloved hand brushes the old stone of the fountain. Now, Only those who've lost something find their way here. Memory guides them. Regret opens the door. You feel a shiver, not from cold, but from the weight of her words. Around you, the masked dancers continue their slow, graceful waltz. Some hum softly to themselves, others simply sway, eyes closed, as though caught between worlds. And you realize perhaps none of them are truly alive, yet none are gone either. They are fragments of remembrance, living out one endless Halloween night. The violin fades, the mist curls close again, wrapping you and the woman in a dim cocoon of silver light. She steps closer, her breath soft and warm near your ear. When the clock strikes 3, the street disappears. Until then, you may dance, or you may dream. The choice is yours. You want to ask her name, but before you can, she turns and walks into the fog. Her silhouette thins, stretches, vanishes. All that remains is the faint whisper of her words. The masquerade remembers. You stand alone in the quiet, feeling the world pulse softly beneath your feet. Not frightening, not sad, but deeply calm, like drifting on the edge of sleep. Somewhere, faintly, the violin begins again. Slower now, almost like a heartbeat. And as you close your eyes, you feel it. The peace, hidden inside, the mystery, the warmth beneath the cold air, the calm within the haunting. The Hollow Street Masquerade isn't about fear. It's about surrender to stillness, to memory, to dreams. So take another slow breath, in and out. Let the music fade. Let the mist embrace you. You are safe here, inside this peaceful, magical, calming night. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk. This is Evelyn Blackwood, and you are listening to Midnight Murmurs Radio. Let's return to Hollow Street, where the fog hums like an old lullaby, and the air remembers every whisper. If your eyes are still open, let them soften now. Feel the pillow beneath your head, the warmth around your body. Take a deep breath in and out. And out. You're drifting again, not away, but inward, into the story that moves as slowly as the night itself. You find yourself standing once more in the square. Though the lanterns now burn lower, their flames swaying like tired dancers, the crowd has thinned. Only a few masked figures remain, gliding gracefully to a tune that feels older than time. The violinist stands by the fountain, his bow moving lazily, almost sleepily, as though he's playing not for the living, but for the memories that linger here. You take a step closer. His mask is cracked, half porcelain, half shadow. Beneath it, you see lines of wear, and eyes the color of smoke. You came back, he murmurs. His voice is soft but familiar, like a half-forgotten song. You always come back, don't you? You hesitate. I don't remember being here before. He smiles faintly, though his hands tremble as they hold the bow. Memory's a fragile thing. Hollow Street keeps what the world forgets. The fire took the town, but not the music. We play so the silence won't take us to you. Listen. The words drift through you like cool wind through open windows. You can almost hear the faint echo of crackling fire, distant screams, and then quiet. The violin's sound carries sorrow, but also warmth, the warmth of something that refuses to die completely. He plays again. The melody turns, softer, rounder, like waves against the shore, and as the notes fill the air, shapes begin to appear in the mist. Not people this time, but flickers of memory. You see a child running down the street with a lantern, a woman painting masks in her window, a man hanging garlands of orange leaves above a shop door. Each image glows briefly, then fades like breath on glass. The violinist lowers his bow. They return when someone remembers, he says quietly. And tonight, you do. The fog stirs again. A breeze moves past you, gentle, fragrant, carrying a faint trace of ash and rain. You turn toward the sound of footsteps approaching from the alley. Out of the darkness steps a tall man in a charcoal coat, his mask carved from wood, shaped like a bird's beak. His voice, low and measured, carries the weight of age. You shouldn't stay too long, he warns. Those who stay begin to forget where they came from. The street has a way of keeping what it loves. There's no threat in his tone, only weary sadness, like someone who has seen too many wanderers lose themselves. Who are you? You ask. He pauses. Once, I was the mayor of this town. The fire started in my house. You look up. His mask catches the faint light of the lanterns, and for a moment you see beneath it a flicker of guilt, of pain buried too deep to heal. He looks toward the fountain where the violinist still stands. We built this festival to honor life, he whispers, but pride turned it to ash. You follow his gaze. In the rippling water of the fountain, the reflections shift again, flames leaping, houses burning, masked faces running through the smoke. You can smell it now, the mix of burning wood and rain. The sound of the violin merges with the crackle of distant fire until it's impossible to tell which is real, and yet you don't feel afraid. The warmth of the night holds you like a gentle blanket. The sorrow here is soft, not sharp, not cruel. Just the echo of something that once was beautiful. The mayor's voice fades. If you find her, he says quietly, tell her I'm still sorry. Who? You asked. But he's already gone, his shape swallowed by the mist. The violin stops. The air falls still. Only your heartbeat remains, steady and slow. You close your eyes, and for a moment, the world feels like it's breathing with you. Inhale, exhale, the fog, the music, the whispers, all in rhythm with your calm, sleepy breath somewhere deep inside. You understand now. Hollow Street isn't haunted by ghosts. It's haunted by remembrance, by the love people leave behind. The lamps flicker once more. The mist folds around you like silk. And as the last echo of the violin fades, your mind begins to quiet completely. The mystery remains, but it no longer asks for answers. It simply is, peaceful, timeless, waiting. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk. The silence that follows feels almost sacred. The mist presses closer, curling around your ankles like velvet. The last notes of the violin fade into memory, leaving behind only the hum of the night. You breathe slowly, and the air carries the faint scent of smoke and forgotten rain. Somewhere deep inside, you know you're being guided, not by fear, but by a quiet calling that feels like destiny. You begin to walk again, your steps soft against the cobblestones. The street bends and narrows, leading toward the older quarter of the town. The lamps here are dimmer, the walls darker, scarred by something old. You can almost hear whispers in the brick, laughter, panic, the sudden gasp of air before everything changed. The echo of the mayor's voice lingers in your thoughts. The fire started in my house. At the end of the lane stands a building, half hidden beneath the fog. Its roof is broken, its door slightly ajar, as if waiting for someone brave enough to return. You step closer. The wood creaks beneath your touch, and the scent of soot greets you like an old acquaintance. Inside, the darkness is deep, but not cruel. It feels like entering a memory that has been waiting too long to be seen. Your eyes adjust. You see fragments of a life once lived, a cracked mirror, a melted candle, a rusted clock stopped at 12. Dust hangs in the air like frost. Each object feels heavy with silence, as though it remembers the exact moment time stopped. You move slowly, careful not to disturb what remains. The air hums softly, like a sigh. Then, faintly, you hear it, a child's laughter. It echoes from upstairs, soft, melodic, impossibly out of place. You follow the sound, one step at a time, the old staircase groaning beneath your feet. With each step, the air grows warmer, and the scent of wood smoke deepens. When you reach the landing, you see a faint glow spilling from a half-open door at the end of the hall. You push it open. Inside, the room looks untouched by time. Toys rest neatly on a shelf, a small bed draped with a patchwork quilt, and in the corner, a lantern flickering with a golden light. Sitting beside it is a little girl in a white dress, her mask lying gently on the floor. Her hair glimmers like autumn wheat, and when she turns, her eyes hold the calmness of someone who has been waiting too long. "Did he send you?" she asks quietly. You hesitate, unsure how to answer. "De Mayo, Ere," he said to tell you. He's sorry? For a moment, the air seems to still completely. Then the girl smiles, not with joy, but with release. "He tried to save me," she whispers, "but the fire came too fast. We danced too long that night, and the lanterns fell." Her gaze drifts to the window, where the fog presses against the glass, like the sea against the shore. "I stayed to keep the light burning, so the others could find their way back." You kneel beside her. The room feels warmer now, the glow softer. "And now?" you ask. She tilts her head. "Now the masquerade will end. When the clock strikes 3, Hollow Street will sleep again. Until next Halloween." She lifts the small lantern and holds it toward you. "Take this. It remembers the way out. The flame inside flickers gently, casting shifting shadows that look almost alive. You take it carefully, feeling its warmth pulse against your hand like a heartbeat. The girl's form begins to blur, her voice fading into a whisper. "Thank you for remembering." Then she is gone. Only the empty chair remains, and the faint scent of wildflowers. You stand in the quiet, the lantern glowing softly in your hand. Through the cracked window, you can see the street below, the fog rolling like a slow tide. The masked figures now still, frozen in graceful poses as the final hour approaches. Somewhere in the distance, a clock begins to chime. 1, 2, the sound deep and slow, echoing through the hollow night. You descend the stairs, each step sinking deeper into calm. The house no longer feels haunted, only peaceful, as though finally allowed to rest. When you step outside, the fog parts slightly, opening a narrow path lined with dim golden lights. You'll follow it, guided by the small lantern that seems to hum softly. With each breath you take, the wind brushes past, cool but gentle, carrying whispers that sound like thank yous. You look back once, and the house is gone, replaced by mist and moonlight. Hollow Street feels lighter now, its sadness dissolving into quiet serenity. You walk slowly, the night wrapping around you like a warm blanket. The lantern's glow reflects in your eyes, steady, rhythmic, like the pulse of a calm dream. Each step feels softer, your body heavier, your thoughts quieter. The masquerade is still, but not empty. It breathes with peace, with closure, with a kind of silence that only comes when every story has been told. And as you exhale, your heart slows, your mind drifts. The fog becomes gentler, the air warmer, and the world fades into stillness. Hollow Street sleeps again, and so do you. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. The lantern glows in your hand, small but steady, its light a soft heartbeat in the fog. The air feels lighter now, though the night remains thick with memory. You follow the golden shimmer that stretches ahead, a path of warmth carved through silver mist. Each step echoes gently, as though the ground itself hums in rhythm with your breath. You don't know where you're going, yet somehow you understand that Hollow Street is leading you to the place where every wandering soul must go before the dawn. The fog moves with you, curling in slow, lazy waves. Faint silhouettes appear and vanish. The shape of a man tipping his hat, a woman laughing behind a mask, the flicker of the little girl's white dress at the edge of sight. They don't frighten you anymore. Their presence feels almost tender, like old memories brushing past your skin. They belong here, and perhaps for tonight. So do you. You pass by an old shop with faded letters on its window. Blackwood and Son, clockmakers since 1889. Inside, the shelves are lined with clocks of every shape and size, all frozen at the same moment. 12 o'clock. The sound of ticking has long since vanished, yet you can almost hear it now, faint and rhythmic tick, tock, tick, tock. Not mechanical, but human, like the sound of your pulse syncing with the heartbeat of Hollow Street itself. You step closer, and your reflection catches in the glass dim, ghostly, wrapped in fog. But behind your own image, you see another, a man who looks almost like you, only older, with soot on his face and sorrow in his eyes. He stands in the same spot, holding a lantern just like yours. And when he raises his head, you realize he's not a stranger at all. He's you, or someone you once were, long ago. The air stills, the fog thickens, and suddenly you remember. The fire, the festival, the laughter that turned to screams. You had been here before, not as a guest, but as the one who brought the lanterns to light the street that night. You remember carrying them door to door, your hands trembling with excitement, the glow of orange flame reflecting in the eyes of children. Then, one lantern slipped. The ribbon snapped. The wind took it. The memory burns in your mind like the echo of a flame long gone. You see the sparks rise, the smoke bloom against the stars. You hear the mayor shouting, people running, and somewhere a small voice calling your name, the little girl in the white dress. You tried to reach her. You remember that? Too, now, the collapsing beam, the burst of heat, the way your vision turned white before it all went quiet. You had never left Hollow Street. You've been walking its fog ever since, a fragment of memory drifting among others, waiting for peace. The lantern in your hand flickers, once, twice, then steadies again. The flame burns brighter. As if recognizing the truth, you whisper softly into the mist, I remember now. The air seems to sigh, long and low. The fog stirs, swirling upward like a slow exhale. The sound of faint chimes fills the air, not sorrowful this time, but soothing, like the gentle toll of distant church bells at dawn. Around you, the masked figures begin to lift their heads. One by one, they bow toward you. Their faces shimmer, then dissolve into light. The square reappears ahead, though it looks different now. Brighter, cleaner, as if the centuries of smoke have lifted. The fountain flows again, the water clear as glass. The violinist stands beside it, his cracked mask mended. He nods. When you approach, his smile, faint but real, it takes courage, he says softly, to remember. You glance at the lantern in your hand. Its glow is no longer golden but white, poor and soft like moonlight filtered through silk. Will it end now? You asked. The violinist's bow hovers. Above the strings, nothing ends, he murmurs. It only rests. It plays again a melody, slow and tender, more lullaby than requiem. The sound fills the air like light spilling through fog. You close your eyes and listen. The music weaves through you, soothing every corner of your mind. The ache of guilt, the chill of memory, all of it melts into calm. Around you, the last of the dancers fade into mist. The cobblestones beneath your feet grow softer, lighter, until you can't tell where the ground ends and the air begins. The fog rises gently, wrapping you in its cool embrace. The street hums quietly, not a lament now, but a lullaby. You feel yourself becoming weightless, untethered, yet warm. The lantern's glow pulses one last time, then releases itself into the air, drifting upward like a star returning home. You smile. For the first time since the night began, you feel no need to understand anything. You simply breathe slowly, deeply, and let the night carry you wherever it wishes. The wind whispers through the empty street, soft as a sigh. Rest now. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk. The fog settles once more, slow and silken, wrapping Hollow Street in its eternal hush. The faint melody of the violin lingers, drifting through the night like a memory that refuses to fade. You stand at the center of the street, where the echoes of laughter, music, and whispers have all dissolved into the rhythm of the wind. For the first time, there is no fear, no confusion, only stillness, only peace. You look around, expecting to see the masks again, the dancers, the little girl. But the street has become something else entirely. The buildings, once cracked and sooty, now stand clean and whole, as though they have awakened from a long, troubled dream. Windows glow faintly with the light of unseen fires, warm and steady. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and cinnamon. The scent of a homecoming long delayed. Your hand moves instinctively to where the lantern once was. But it's gone now. Only a faint warmth remains in your palm, like a heartbeat that has finally learned to rest. You take a slow breath, letting the night fill your lungs. The mist feels soft, cool, forgiving. And then you hear it, the faintest sound, almost too quiet to notice. It isn't the violin this time. It's the sound of footsteps. You turn and see the little girl in white, standing just beyond the fountain. Her dress no longer glows with ghostly shimmer. It looks real, fabric soft and weightless. She tilts her head, smiling shyly. In her hands, she holds a single lantern, its flame small but sure. Is it over? You ask, your voice barely more than a breath. She shakes her head gently. It's never over, she whispers, but it can rest now. She holds out the lantern toward you. Its flame flickers once, twice, then steadies the same light that guided you through the mist. You take it carefully, your fingers brushing hers, and the moment feels impossibly real. She steps back, her figure beginning to fade into the silver air. It's time to go home, she says softly. The street remembers, but it forgives. You open your mouth to speak, but the words dissolve before you can form them. The light brightens, washing everything in white. You close your eyes. For a heartbeat, there is nothing. No street, no fog, no sound, only silence and warmth. When you open your eyes again, you are no longer on Hollow Street. You are somewhere softer, quieter. The sound of wind through leaves replaces the violin's echo. The air is cool against your skin, carrying the scent of earth and rain. You lie on the edge of sleep, half awake, half drifting. You don't remember how you came here, but you know you're safe. Your body feels weightless, every breath slower than the last. You imagine the lantern's light still glowing beside you, a guardian made of memory. The night hums gently around you, a lullaby born from fog and forgiveness. You think of the people who once danced beneath their masks, of the laughter that turned to silence, and the silence that turned to song again. You realize that Hollow Street was never haunted by ghosts, only by memories waiting to be seen, understood, and released. In that thought, something within you unwinds the tension you didn't know you carried. It fades with the mist, replaced by an inner quiet so deep it feels like water filling a long empty well. The voice of the violin returns, faint and tender, not from the street but from within. A hum beneath your heartbeat. Each note seems to say, "Rest now, you've come far enough." The world grows softer. The night folds itself around you like a blanket. The fog that once hid secrets now becomes a cradle, and the darkness turns gentle, protective. You take one last breath, slow, deep, calm. You imagine Hollow Street somewhere far away, wrapped in moonlight, its lanterns still glowing softly, guiding lost souls home. And as you exhale, you whisper, almost without sound, "Thank you." A final gust of wind moves through the air, like a sigh of relief. Then all is still. The story of Hollow Street dissolves into the quiet between dreams. You are safe now. You are home. Sleep comes gently, carrying you into its arms. The last image in your mind is the flicker of the lantern's flame, peaceful, eternal, hovering in the dark like the heartbeat of a world forgiven. And somewhere beneath that vast and endless quiet, you hear the faintest murmur, a woman's voice, calm and low, speaking as if from another room of your dream. "Good night, traveler. You've walked far enough. Rest easy, and let the night keep your story safe." The air sighs once more. Then silence. The radio hums softly in the background, a low, familiar crackle that fills the small apartment with warmth. Outside, the October rain falls in slow, deliberate threads, pattering against the window glass. You sit by the lamp, half awake, your mug of cocoa untouched, its steam curling like ghostly breath. The voice on the radio, slow, soothing, almost hypnotic, speaks of a place that doesn't appear on any map, a place called Hollow Street. You lean closer, your breath fogging the glass. The words seem to drift through the static, as though they come not from the radio waves, but from the air itself. Some say it appears only once a year, on Halloween night. Others say it appears when a soul has forgotten its own peace. The voice pauses, the kind of silence that isn't empty, but listening. You can almost hear footsteps beneath it, faint and echoing, as if someone were walking through fog. Do you turn the volume up a little? The voice continues, slow and deliberate. They called it the Hollow Street Masquerade, a celebration of masks and forgiveness, and for those who found it. The journey was never truly over. You don't know why, but the words reach you in a way no story has before. There's a strange pull in your chest, like déjà vu wrapped in melancholy. You've never been to a town like the one the voice describes, yet something about it feels familiar. The scent of old lanterns, the rhythm of the rain, the way your heartbeat syncs with the whispering tone of the storyteller. The rain grows softer, fading into a hush. The apartment seems to change with the silence. The edges of the walls blur. The shadows stretch longer, slower. You close your eyes, letting the voice guide your breath. Inhale slowly, it says. Feel the weight of the day drift away. Exhale, and let go of everything that no longer belongs to you. Tonight, you rest. You do, as the voice says. The air feels heavier, sweeter. The rhythm of your breathing matches the hum of the radio, and for a moment you feel as if the world has stopped turning. The voice continues. Now softer, now closer. They say the masquerade begins when the last candle of the night is lit. When memory and dream intertwine, and the veil between worlds becomes thin as silk. You open your eyes. The lamp beside you flickers once, twice, the flame steadies. But the shadows on the wall begin to move. They twist like figures, waltzing in silence. One shadow, tall, graceful, turns toward you as though aware of your gaze. Your breath catches. The radio hum deepens, its tone shifting, lower, slower, like a heartbeat beneath the floorboards. The voice on the radio lowers to a whisper. If you listen closely, you can still hear them. The air changes. The faint scent of autumn, of leaves, of smoke, of something faintly metallic fills the room. The clock ticks once, and suddenly you're no longer sure where you are. Your hands rest on your lap, but the fabric beneath your fingers doesn't feel like your couch anymore. It feels like stone. The soft hum of the radio fades, replaced by the distant sound of music, a waltz, slow and lilting, echoing from somewhere unseen. You blink once, twice. The room around you has vanished. You're standing on a cobblestone street, bathed in mist. Lanterns hang from curved iron posts, their glass glimmering gold. The air is thick with fog, and somewhere in the distance, bells toll 12 Hollow Street. You whisper the name without meaning to. The word feels ancient on your tongue. A faint wind brushes past, cool and deliberate, carrying whispers that sound almost like laughter. You take a step forward, your shoes crunching against fallen leaves that look like old parchment. The music grows louder, strings and flutes weaving through the mist. You see figures in masks drifting past, their movements graceful, dreamlike. None of them speak. None of them notice you. It's as if you're walking through the memory of a celebration that ended long ago. Then you see her. A woman in a black velvet mask. The same one described on the radio. Her dress glows faintly in the lantern light, and her steps make no sound. She moves towards you slowly, as Tugse's been expecting you. When she stops, her voice, soft and low, reaches through the mist. You heard the story, she says, and now, the story hears you. The words sink, dip, echoing inside your chest. The air thickens. The lanterns dim, the sound of rain returns, or maybe it never left. You stand there, between worlds, between wake and sleep, listening to the faint hum of a radio that might be miles or years away, and somewhere beyond the mist, the voice of Evelyn Blackwood continues to whisper, calm and endless, carrying you deeper into the quiet. Let go now, breathe. You're safe. The masquerade remembers, but it forgives as the story fades. Allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk, the mist breathes with you now, slow and rhythmic, like the tide pulling softly at the edges of your dream. The masked woman's words linger in the air, curling through the fog like threads of smoke. The story hears you. It echoes in your mind, quiet but unshakable. You take another step down the cobblestone path, and the sound of your footsteps seems to ripple through the silence, waking faint murmurs that drift like echoes of memory. The lanterns lining the street flicker one by one, not in rhythm but in response, as though they recognize your presence. The light from each glass pane trembles, forming brief shapes in the air, faces, gestures, silhouettes of people who might have walked here long ago. You can almost feel their emotions brushing against you. Longing, regret, joy, and the faintest trace of sorrow. You walk past a window where a mask of porcelain rests upon the sill. Its painted lips curve into a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes. Behind it, the faint outline of someone moves, a shadow stirring tea, perhaps, or turning toward you. But when you blink, the window is empty again, and only your reflection stares back through the fogged glass. Somewhere deeper down the lane, you hear the sound of a piano, faint, hesitant notes, played as if by memory rather than by hand. The melody carries the weight of something unspoken, something unfinished. You follow it, drawn by instinct more than curiosity. The mist parts slightly, revealing an old house draped in ivy, its door slightly ajar. You hesitate, but the wind moves behind you, guiding you forward. The hinges sigh as you push the door open. The air inside is warm, still, smelling faintly of candle wax and lavender. You step across the threshold, and the world outside seems to fall away. A single lantern glows at the far end of the hall, casting long, trembling shadows across faded wallpaper, patterned with gold leaves. The piano sits in the corner, its keys worn and yellowed, yet still alive beneath invisible hands. The tune it plays is haunting but gentle. A lullaby meant for those who never found sleep. As you move closer, the melody falters, then stops. The silence that follows feels like an inhale held too long. You can hear your own heart beating, slow and steady. Then, a whisper from behind you, soft, almost tender. You came back. You turn. The woman in the mask stands by the doorway. Her black velvet dress glimmers faintly as though woven from starlight and dust. The mask hides her face, but her voice carries warmth and something older, like the ache of remembering. "Do you remember this house?" she asks. You shake your head, but the gesture feels uncertain. The scent, the air, even the creak of the floorboards beneath your feet, they all feel familiar, as if from a dream you once had and forgot upon waking. This place, she continues, was built by a man who wanted to hold time still. He hosted the first masquerade here the night before he disappeared. They say he wished for the celebration to last forever. And perhaps Bah, she pauses. In some way, it did. The piano begins again, this time on its own, soft on slip. The melody repeats, slightly changed, like an echo looping through eternity. The woman moves closer, her presence quiet, magnetic. Every soul who wanders into Hollow Street finds a memory waiting for them. She says, some come seeking peace. Others never learn to leave. You glance toward the lantern, noticing something strange. Inside the flame, faint images shimmer. Dancers, laughter, fragments of nights long gone. You reach toward it, and warmth spreads through your fingertips. The moment your skin brushes the air above the flame, visions unfurl in your mind, masks swirling through fog. A woman's laughter cut short, a clock striking 12 again and again, refusing to move forward. You pull your hand back. The woman watches you quietly. The masquerade remembers, she murmurs, but it forgives only when the story is told. Her words settle in the air like dust in sunlight. You realize that every sound, every breath, every flicker of light is part of a larger rhythm. You are not just walking through Hollow Street. You are inside its memory, retracing its pulse. The piano fades. The mist seeps back through the cracks, wrapping around the furniture, swallowing the light. You take a slow breath, steadying yourself. The woman steps back, her figure dissolving with the fog. Follow the music, she whispers. When it stops, you'll find what was left behind. The door opens on its own, and the wind calls you gently back to the street. The night has deepened, the moon veiled by slow-moving clouds. Somewhere in the distance, the waltz begins again, faint, patient, eternal. You walk toward it, your footsteps soft, steady, echoing the rhythm of your heartbeat. The fog parts before you, and with each step, you feel the weight of waking life fading. The line between dream and memory blurs completely. As the music drifts through the air, you breathe in calm, safe, peaceful. The night accepts you again, and for a moment, you sense the quiet heartbeat of the masquerade, waiting, watching, remembering. That's as the story fades. Allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk, the air feels heavier now, thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth and candle wax. The faint waltz that guided you through Hollow Street fades into a low hum. More vibration than sound, like something breathing beneath the world. You follow it, thrown by that invisible rhythm, until you find yourself standing before an iron gate. It's old, ornate, its bars twisted into shapes of vines and stars. Beyond it, a mansion looms in the fog, tall, lonely, with windows like closed eyes. The faint flicker of light glows behind them, though no one seems to be home. You push the gate gently. It opens with a sigh, as if it's been waiting. The path is lined with statues, dancers, musicians, masks frozen middle. Their marble faces glisten with dew. Some seem to smile as you pass. Others turn slightly, watching. The silence between them feels alive. A whisper drifts across the garden, low and uncertain. The founder, he still waits. The voice comes from nowhere and everywhere at once. You walk slower, the sound of your footsteps mixing with the steady beat of your heart. The mansion door stands slightly ajar. You hesitate. Before entering, the wood feels warm under your palm, as though it remembers being touched. Inside, the air hums faintly with static, the same soft crackle as the old radio. Candles burn on a long table, their flames bending as you pass. The wallpaper is faded, peeling, but beneath the decay, you can still see the pattern. Masks and lanterns intertwined, like an endless dance, frozen in time. You wander deeper through corridors that twist and fold back upon themselves. At the end of one hall, a portrait hangs crooked on the wall. A man in a dark suit, his eyes shadowed beneath a gold-trimmed mask. He holds a lantern in one hand and a clock in the other. His expression is calm, almost kind, but the longer you look, the more you sense the sadness hidden beneath it. The nameplate reads, Jonathan Ballet, 1891, founder of the Hollow Street Masquerade. You step closer. The paint seems to shimmer faintly, as though the surface were still drying. Then, without sound, one of the candles goes out. The shadows shift, and you feel a cold wind brush against your neck. When you turn, there is someone standing in the doorway, a tall figure wearing a gold mask just like the one in the portrait. He doesn't move. He simply watches, silent and steady, as though deciding whether you belong. Your voice catches in your throat. Are you? Before you can finish, the man speaks, his tone low, tired, yet strangely melodic. Names lose meaning here, he says. But once, I was Jonathan Vale. He walks closer, the candlelight trembling across the smooth surface of his mask. You heard the story. That means the masquerade. Could you step back slightly? But his presence, I assented, threatening. It feels inevitable, like gravity. Why am I here? You ask. He pauses. To finish what I began. He turns toward the portrait. The gold light reflecting from his mask. I created the masquerade to stop time, to preserve joy before the world could take it away. I wanted a night that never ended, but I forgot. He looks back at you. Even joy must rest. His words hang in the air, soft but heavy. The candles flicker lower, their wax pooling like white tears. When the music stopped, he continues, we couldn't leave. The guests became echoes, memories trapped between moments. I thought I was saving them, but I was only keeping them from peace. You look at him at the faint shimmer beneath the mask. His outline wavers like smoke. So you're still here, you whisper. He nods until someone listens. Until someone remembers without fear. He gestures toward the lantern on the table. Its glass is cracked, but a faint glow still burns inside a golden heartbeat pulsing in the dark. Every soul who wanders Hollow Street carries one of these, he says. A light made from memory. Yours burns bright. Even here, you glance down, realizing the same warmth glows in your hand, the same gentle pulse that followed you since the beginning. What do I do with it? You ask. Dutch. Jonathan steps closer, the light from both lanterns merging into one soft radiance. Tell this story, he says quietly, and when it ends, let it go. For a moment, neither of you speak. The room hums with a faint vibration of silence, the kind that feels alive. You realize that this place, this entire masquerade, is built from the longing of those who couldn't forget. Jonathan tilts his head slightly, as if listening to something far away. The music is fading, he says. You're close now. A sudden sound fills the hall, faint strings. The waltz returning from the fog outside. Jonathan steps back, his figure beginning to fade with the rhythm. When the last note falls, he murmurs, "The masquerade will sleep again." The candles burn brighter for an instant, and then all at once, darkness. You're alone. The air is still. The faint glow of your lantern remains steady in your hand. Its light reflects in your eyes, soft and golden. The silence that follows feels not empty, but at peace, like the exhale after a long night of remembering. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. The morning after the masquerade was unlike any Evelyn had ever known. The air held a weight that wasn't visible but could be felt in every inhale, a strange mixture of calm and melancholy, as if the town itself had wept silently through the night. Hollow Street was still, its cobblestones glistening with dew, the lamplights flickering faintly in the fog. The banners from the festival hung limp and tattered, their once bright colors dulled by the mist. Evelyn walked slowly, the hem of her coat brushing the wet stones, her eyes fixed on the hollow mansion at the end of the road, Blackwood Manor. It stood there in all its solemn glory, silent, imposing, and oddly inviting. She couldn't shake the memory of the crimson-masked woman, nor the weight of her words. Not all ghosts haunt others, some haunt themselves. Those words played in her mind like a forgotten lullaby. She felt them echo inside her chest with every beat of her heart. As she approached the gate, she noticed something different. The faint outline of footprints on the dew-soaked ground leading toward the house. They weren't hers. The prints were smaller, lighter, almost delicate, as if a child had walked barefoot through the mist. Evelyn followed them, each step accompanied by a soft whisper of the wind that seemed to hum her name. When she reached the grand door, it opened on its own once more. But this time there was no creaking, no resistance. The house welcomed her in silence. Inside, the air was warmer than before, carrying the scent of candle wax and autumn apples. The same ballroom lay before her, but it was no longer empty. In the far corner stood a small wooden table set with 2 teacups, one steaming, one untouched. A child's laughter echoed faintly through the corridor beyond, light and fleeting. Evelyn turned, her pulse quickening, and followed the sound down the long hallway lined with portraits. The faces in the paintings seemed to watch her, their eyes alive with quiet recognition. When she reached the end, she found a small door she had never noticed before, painted the color of fading lilacs. She hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside was a nursery frozen in time. The wallpaper, soft and blue, was patterned with silver moons. A rocking horse sat beside the window, swaying gently though no wind stirred. On a nearby shelf lay a porcelain mask smaller than the others, clearly made for a child. Beneath it, a name carved into the wood, Clara Blackwood. Evelyn whispered the name, and at once the air shimmered. Soft, light spilling across the room. A figure appeared by the window, the faint silhouette of a girl no older than 8. Her outline formed from pale mist. She turned slowly, eyes glowing faintly gold. "You found my room," the child said, her voice calm, almost melodic. "I've been waiting." Evelyn's breath caught. "Are you Clara?" The girl nodded, her expression neither sorrowful nor joyful, simply tired, as if centuries had passed in silence. "Why are you here?" Evelyn asked softly. Clara's gaze drifted toward the rocking horse. "Because no one remembered to let me leave," she said. "Every masquerade, the same music plays. Every year they dance and forget." Her voice trembled like wind against glass. "But you came back. You can end it." Evelyn stepped closer, the floor creaking under her weight. "How?" she asked. Clara raised her small hand and pointed toward the locket at Evelyn's neck. "It's the key," she whispered. "It carries the promise. They broke the promise that binds Hollow Street." Evelyn touched the locket, feeling its pulse against her skin. Faint but alive. "And if I open it, say, ask it." The child's form flickered, her smile fading into a whisper. "Then the masquerade will stop, and we can finally rest." A low hum began to fill the air, the sound of the clock in the ballroom ticking faster than before, the rhythm quick and unsteady. The mist around Clara began to dissolve, strands of golden light drifting upward like embers. Evelyn's eyes welled with tears. "I'll help you," she said quietly. "I promise." The child's voice came one last time, soft as a breath. "Then remember, every promise has a shadow." And with that, she vanished. The nursery fell silent once more. Only the faint motion of the rocking horse remained, swaying slowly, endlessly, in the still air. Evelyn clutched the locket, her fingers trembling, and turned toward the fading light outside. She knew now that Hollow Street was not cursed. It was grieving, and tonight, as the mist rose again, she would face the truth buried within the music. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. The mist thickened as Evelyn stepped back into the main street, the lantern in her hand glowing softly, steady as a heartbeat. The faint outline of the mansion had disappeared behind the fog, replaced by familiar cobblestones, slick with dew. The echoes of the waltz were distant now, faintly tugging at her memory like a half-forgotten lullaby. Each step she took carried her closer to the center of Hollow Street, where the last remnants of the masquerade lingered, shadows of dancers twirling slowly, masks reflecting the dim light in 100 fragmented images. Her fingers tightened around the locket. She could feel the pulse of it vibrating faintly, as if it held the heartbeat of every soul trapped on this street. The promise of release rested within that small piece of metal and glass. She inhaled slowly, letting the cool night air fill her lungs, and exhaled, releasing every trace of hesitation, fear, and uncertainty. Tonight, she would not merely witness Hollow Street, she would complete it. A distant clock struck, though no tower was visible. Its sound carried weight, vibrating through the mist, pulling her forward. Lanterns hung along the street flickered, casting wavering patterns across the cobblestones. Some shadows paused, mid-step, turning their heads as if aware of her presence. She recognized them, figures from her dreams and memories. Moments glimpsed in the fleeting light of previous nights, the little girl in white, the crimson-masked woman, and even Jonathan Vale, the founder, his golden mask glinting faintly before fading into mist. Evelyn continued walking, the pulse of the locket syncing with her own heartbeat. She reached the fountain at the center of the street, water frozen in a shimmering arc that caught the faint glow from the lanterns. The surface of the water reflected more than her own image. It showed fragments of hollow streets past, laughter at the festival, masked dancers spinning endlessly, lanterns lifted by the wind that never reached the ground, and a man lighting them one by one, hands trembling yet steady. The waltz grew louder, soft but insistent, rising from somewhere unseen. Evelyn knelt beside the fountain, holding the locket above the still water. The golden light from the lanterns reflected in its surface, creating a cascade of illumination that seemed to awaken the ghosts of memory. The little girl appeared again, stepping softly across the cobblestones, her tiny feet silent. She reached out, gesturing toward the locket. "It's time," she whispered. "You carry their story. Let them rest." Evelyn's fingers opened, releasing the locket. It fell slowly into the fountain, its light refracting into thousands of tiny golden sparks that floated upward like fireflies. The water shimmered, and a wave of warmth spread through the street, brushing against every shadow, every memory, every echo of laughter. One by one, the masked figures paused mid. They lifted their heads, their masks dissolving into light. Smiles lingered for a heartbeat before vanishing, leaving the street quieter than it had ever been. The lantern in her hand dimmed, then flickered, and Evelyn realized she no longer needed it. The street itself glowed faintly, breathing gently as if exhaling centuries of sorrow. The fountain rippled, water returning to its natural flow, and for the first time, Hollow Street seemed alive, not haunted, not trapped, but free. A soft breeze touched her cheek, carrying the faint scent of autumn leaves and candle smoke. The little girl's figure had vanished, but a gentle warmth lingered in her place. Evelyn rose, brushing dew from her coat, and noticed the houses around the street looking intact, whole, their windows reflecting the first hints of dawn. She walked slowly, absorbing the stillness, aware that this night had changed everything for Hollow Street, for its lost souls, and for herself. Somewhere in the distance, the faintest echo of a violin played, slow and tender, carrying a melody that seemed both ancient and new. Evelyn closed her eyes, letting it wash over her, wrapping her in calm. Every step she took was lighter now, untethered from the weight of old stories and old regrets. The night was soft, peaceful, magical, carrying with it the gentle reminder that every ending is also a beginning. The mist thinned, and with it, the last whispers of Hollow Street faded into the night. The glow of lanterns, the traces of laughter, the shadows of the past, all dissolved like dreams upon waking. Evelyn breathed deeply, her heart steady, her mind quiet. She knew she had honored every memory, every soul, every story that lingered here. And as the first golden light of dawn touched the cobblestones, she whispered softly, feeling the city exhale along with her. Rest well as the story fades. Allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk, the mist drifts thicker than ever, curling through the empty streets of Hollow Street like a living veil. Lanterns, now faint and golden, sway slowly in the silent wind. The air hums softly, carrying the scent of autumn leaves, rain, and something almost imperceptibly sweet, the aroma of memory itself. Evelyn walks slowly, each step deliberate, her breath merging with the gentle pulse of the street. The locket she had released into the fountain is no longer in her hand, but its warmth lingers in her chest, steady, soft, alive. The shadows of the masquerade appear briefly in the corners of her vision, dancers frozen mid figures in masks, shimmering like reflections on water, then vanish as if drawn back into the fog. Hollow Street exhales, a long, gentle sigh that carries away the weight of every sorrow it has held for centuries. The music of the waltz has softened into nothing more than a memory, a tender echo brushing past the edges of awareness. Evelyn reaches the fountain at the center once more. Its water ripples softly in the dim lantern light, reflecting the last flickers of golden illumination. The fountain's surface mirrors not only the sky above, but the faces of those who once danced here, joyful, fearful, longing. Now, at rest, she kneels briefly, letting her fingers hover over the surface. The warmth from the locket's memory spreads through the water, sending tiny ripples that shimmer like starlight. Each ripple seems to carry a soul gently into the night, released from the rhythmless cycle of longing and regret. From the mist ahead, a faint figure emerges. The little girl in white, her glow softer now, her form delicate, almost ethereal. She smiles, a gentle curve that speaks of forgiveness and peace. She steps lightly across the cobblestones, leaving faintly glowing footprints that vanish as soon as they appear. "Thank you," she whispers, voice carried on the wind, "for remembering, for letting us rest." Evelyn stands and watches as the figures of the masquerade slowly reappear one last time. But this time, their masks are not eerie, their movements not frantic. They glide with calm, fading gradually into the fog, their laughter soft, melodic, the kind that feels like a lullaby. One by one, the windows of the surrounding houses light briefly, like a wave of recognition, then fade to stillness. Hollow Street seems to exhale again, releasing every memory it had held, every echo, every shadow, every fragment of the past. The fog curls around Evelyn, wrapping her in gentle quiet, carrying her thoughts away from fear and doubt. She feels the heartbeat of the street slowing, settling, matching her own calm rhythm. Each breath is lighter, each step more weightless. For the first time, the street does not feel haunted, and she does not feel lost. She feels only peace, the kind that comes from understanding, from seeing the end of a story unfold exactly as it must. Somewhere far above, the moon breaks free from the clouds, casting a pale silver glow across the mist. The lanterns shimmer one last time, then fade, leaving only the soft glow of dawn approaching. Evelyn breathes deeply, feeling the cool air fill her lungs, the warmth of resolution spreading through her chest. The echoes of Hollow Street are no longer calling, they are resting, at last, like the gentle hum of a lullaby. She walks slowly toward the edge of the street, watching the mist dissolve into the light of morning. The houses and fountains, the cobblestones and lampposts, even the faint scent of candle smoke all blur into a dreamlike softness. The magic of the night lingers, subtle and tender, as if the world itself is giving permission to rest. Evelyn smiles faintly, her heart still carrying the faint pulse of the stories she helped release, a warmth that will stay with her even after sleep takes her fully. The street is empty now, silent, timeless. The last vestiges of fog curl into the sky, carrying every whisper, every shadow, every memory into the gentle embrace of the dawn. Hollow Street has finally let go, and so has she. The world feels calm, magical, serene, and complete. Evelyn closes her eyes for the final step, allowing herself to melt into the quiet of the night. The soft wind brushes her cheeks, the faint scent of autumn lingering one last time. Every story, every ghost, every memory now drifts into peace, leaving only calm behind. As the mist fades completely and the first light of dawn stretches across the horizon, she takes a deep, slow breath and whispers to herself, softly, gently, "Rest now. We are free." And with that, the world settles and the night folds around her like a blanket, carrying every listener into its gentle arms. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep.